Hi everybody, it's Jennifer McCreath, April 15th, 2014. Dealing with a sore throat here, feeling awful, probably look awful. Been asked to provide a few comments on trans competition in sports, so I wanted to take a look at the Stockholm Consensus, which is, I'll read it right here, on October 28, 2003. Ad hoc committee convened by the International Olympic Committee Medical Commission met in Stockholm, Sweden, to discuss issue recommendations on the participation of individuals who have undergone sex change in sport. Obviously, this issue first was brought to the Olympic Committee's attention approximately 2001 and 2002 when trans athletes approached the Olympic Committee, making note that there's a good chance they would qualify for the Olympics, and wanted to be upfront about this and have someone take a look to ensure that participation was fair and safe for everybody. Big question, do trans people have advantage or disadvantage in sport? Go to male to female versus when you go to female to male. What gives people advantages? Ultimately, the key issue here is hormone levels. The difference between the male and the female, testosterone hormone produces bigger muscles, which gives you better ability to process oxygen, gives you strength, speed, and endurance, makes you more powerful, and ultimately a competitive advantage for one individual over another really comes down to muscle levels, which can be linked directly to testosterone levels. They got this policy partially right. They do require gonadectomy, which means removal of your hormone producers. If you want to compete as a female, you cannot have testosterone producers, also known as testicles. And likewise, for trans men, you could not have female producing hormonal primary sex glands, the ovaries. They take it up a notch. Obviously, you got to have replacement hormones consistent with the norms. So, for me, going from male to female, not only did I have to lose my testicles that produces testosterone, but I needed to artificially take in estrogen sufficiently to the point where my hormone levels and other functionally measurable things like muscle mass and metabolism, etc., demonstrate that I am somehow within a female range. I guess the real question is, well, what are those ranges and how do you map them? There are other intangibles that come into play here. I've got male bones, and those bones are big and heavy compared to female bones. Now I only have female muscles to move them, which actually puts me at a disadvantage versus other females in competitions, such as, say, marathon running. This is now the other issue has come up. What about combat sports like mixed martial arts? Do the heavier bones give you an advantage? Another factor is the hormone levels. When the biological male has their testes removed, they will actually have less testosterone than females because the pituitary gland produces, it's up in the brain somewhere, the pituitary gland produces opposite sex hormones. Part of the way the body regulates its system is to have hormones, opposite sex hormones in the body present. In my case, the pituitary gland was convinced it's a male, and therefore it would not be producing testosterone. So guess what? I have less testosterone in my body than anyone, male or female. So that further puts trans women at a further disadvantage. If you take a look at the history of my results as a marathon runner, you can see that I went from being a competitive male marathon runner to being a bottom of the pack female runner in 2 years since the hormone changes were introduced. The concept of ranges, what's a fair range? Well, that's tough to measure. Some argue, well, is it fair to let tall basketball players play because they have a competitive advantage? If you're over 6'5", you're taller than everybody else, you're going to have an advantage. And maybe some things you just can't. You can't discriminate against someone for being 6'5" or taller, can you? I guess ultimately that's the other question of this: is what's fair? We don't want to be discriminating against people. At the same time, we don't want a genuine competitive advantage. Stockholm Consensus looks at, the third issue they look at is in addition to the change in hormones, is the change in anatomy. They want full sex reassignment surgery done. Whether you have a penis or a vagina has no impact on what type of hormone levels you're going to have, and bears no impact on your athletic abilities. Therefore, in my opinion, it's not a necessary matter to take into consideration. Likewise, the Stockholm Consensus recommended recognition by government officials. So if you were born in a country that does not legally recognize sex changes, then you're being discriminated against as well. So that's not, again, it doesn't matter what a piece of paper says you're male or female. It has nothing to do with your ability to compete in an athletic event, nor does it influence the fairness of your ability to compete. So they got part of it right, part of it wrong, in my opinion, but at least it's a start, it's a guideline, and I've never been consideration for the Olympics. Ultimately, is this policy the right thing to use when applying it to other athletic events, your local 5K runs, again, in other sports, non-Olympic sports, team sports, with the Boston Marathon? I'm going to talk a little bit more in the next video about this. I've been asked to comment on transgender athletes in the Boston Marathon and the process for making sure that everyone has equal access to participating in the event. I'm going to sign off for now. We'll be right back on another video. Thanks for watching.